Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
We've got a lot of talent returning. All right, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the 314th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today, we're going to try our darndest to get on Craig Bennett, the new head coach at Pickens. He just texted me because he was unsure with this new schedule. He's trying to be a good dragon and do whatever the administrators see to get settled in, but he said he just got ISS duty, so he's trying to make sure the kids are situated, and then hopefully he'll come on around at 12:30 because I'm really interested and have been all week. He took the job a week ago yesterday on his decision, honestly, because he's done such a great job at Cambridge. He started the program in 2012. They're coming off 4 straight playoff appearances. They battled in what you could say was one of the best regions in Class 5A, and it's a significant decision. He's going from Fulton County to a smaller school, but still one that's had a lot of success. So hopefully we can get him on. We'll also be talking about some Georgia Elite Classic stuff I've been working on in terms of accounting for all the alum. I'm trying to update that list so we're ready to go before signing day coming up. And then we'll also talk about some of the big basketball results last night and then some of the big games this weekend. And then on Monday, because it is going to be MLK Day, and we know that there are always premier matchups. We got a lot of out-of-state teams coming into Georgia and squaring off, so it should be a great weekend. I think there's on Friday alone, so I think tonight there are 192 boys basketball games, so it is really busy. The holiday season was busy. Thanksgiving is always busy, but this is a huge weekend for basketball, and I think next week's rankings are going to reflect that. The news I want to get started off first with came yesterday afternoon, and I think it's a huge development, and that is Peyton Zachary, the former Kell receiver. He's going to be a junior next season, announcing on his Instagram that he's going to be transferring to Carrollton to play for the Trojans, and I think this is a huge boost for that Carrollton team. Peyton Zachary is one of the better slot receivers I've seen. He had his varsity career start off with a bang as a freshman in the Corky Kell Classic. He came out, absolutely balled out, won Offensive Player of the Game. He was named Offensive MVP for the Kell Longhorns after the conclusion of his freshman season. And then he had another really strong season last year. It was a unique season for Kell, though. We know Bryce Clavin, the quarterback, missed a significant chunk, and then Peyton dealt with some injuries. He got a concussion in the season opener, missed some games after that, and then in the final game against Cass, he went out with a shoulder injury. He would have been ready to play the next week, but Cass was able to hold on to victory. So none of those injuries are really long-lasting, but that did have to do with his production not being as much as it would have been with a full season. But let's go ahead. I think we have the graphic. Let's check it out, and we'll talk about it some more. Stand by. And he, of course, has already been offered by UGA. I think he received that offer before his sophomore season. He's got a ton of opportunities, and I think playing at Carrollton, that's really going to put him on the spotlight. Kel was a big deal, the way he was leading that offense, but he's going to fit really well, and he's going to be a huge part of that offense. I also really loved the way he played on special teams. I mentioned the play in the Corky Kell where he got the concussion, but that was no fault of his own. He was in the midst of an incredible return against Parkview, and he was weaving through traffic, found the sideline, and it was just a situation because he had reverse field. The Parkview player was able to get a good angle on him, and then he took a nasty shot. The ball ended up coming out and somehow staying in bounds. It was a turnover, but it was a huge play. I mean, that would have really gotten Kell back in the game, and really I don't think anyone could have held on to that. It's just one of the situations where you aren't going to see the guy coming, and it was a blindside hit. But here you go. This is via Peyton Zachary's Instagram. So he is looking sharp in that Carrollton jersey. And I talked about his ability in the return game, but what he's really excellent at, you see him just, the ball skills when he's on these slot routes, he's able to jump up in traffic, and then as soon as he's landing, he's getting upfield. He's fighting for extra yards. He's a red zone threat. He's very shifty. He's going to play a huge role. I think he's going to be very motivated to ball out his junior season. It's going to be exciting. I think Carrollton's going to be in that conversation, obviously, but I think they're also a real legitimate state championship threat. And they got Kamari Farmer in that backfield. He was probably, if you look at the sophomores across the state last year, I think he would, without question, be first-team All-State. For the sophomores, he carried that run game for Carrollton the entire season. After Bryce Hicks went down, had a true breakout performance, and I think adding Peyton, that's going to balance out that offense. They also have some studs coming back on defense, and I mean, their loss to Walton, it was a tough one, but Walton actually played a perfect game. They scored on every possession a touchdown, so they went toe-to-toe with them, but it's impossible to beat a team that scores a touchdown on every drive. So that was a tough one, but congrats to Peyton. I'm sure he's going to love playing for Carrollton. They're going to love having him there. And I think a situation like this, he still's got 2 more years left. I think this fresh start for him after, as I said, a disappointing season where he had the injuries, got banged up in the last game. I know that left a bad taste in his mouth. I think the fresh start, I know it's sad for the Kell community to see him go, but I think he's going to do really well at Carrollton. So definitely wanted to break that headline. Najee pointed that out to me yesterday, and that is a big deal. So we're seeing a couple big names that we watched last year have found new homes. Tommy Lafayette, a similar big impact player, filling a hole that his new destination needed, and that's North Gwinnett, because they returned the quarterback, returned the receivers, returned the tight end, but they were missing that bell cow back. They found it. I think Carrollton was missing a little firepower on offense. They definitely already had it. I think Caleb Odom was the big loss, but now you add an excellent slot receiver that can get open, make game-changing plays, and more importantly, the yards after catch, he's going to be a problem. So that's how we're going to start it off. But let's look at what I was talking about with the Georgia Elite Classic and this incredible list that we've been working on since the event started in 2013. So we have tracked every single roster that has played in the 11 years, and then calculated how many went on to the next level or went on to the NFL. Sometimes it's tricky with this list because they might commit, let's say, to UNC, and then their sophomore season they transfer to Mercer or something like that. So our list exists only as here's the high school they played, here's the college they went to first. And we tried to update it. I'll make sure I do that before it gets published. But I just want to go over some of the names just to kind of set the storyline for how important this list is going to be once this signing day class is solidified. That will be the class of 2024. So obviously that was the seniors this year in our game, the juniors last year, sophomores the year before that, and so on. All right, so let's look at, we'll just start at the beginning. This is the first ever Georgia Elite Classic participants. They were juniors in the 2013 game, so they were the class of 2015. In that class, a couple big names. You had Cravante Benson from Marietta, went to Georgia Tech. You had Chuma Edoga, McEachern, he went to Southern Cal, and then actually the Atlanta Falcons. You have Blake Ferguson, he was a long snapper. He went to Buford, then he went to LSU and the Dolphins. His brother also went to Buford, also went to LSU, and he's been the starting long snapper for the Buffalo Bills for, I think, the last decade. So this is the first ever class. We had Caleb Kim, Mill Creek, Auburn, and a total from that junior class, 61 guys went on from that class of 2015 that played in the event and then went on to the next level. And I just mentioned the 4 or 5 NFL prospects. So truly incredible right there. You also had Mitch Hyatt, North Gwinnett, and then Clemson. All right, so then the following year, the class of 2016 was also a total of 61 names. Some of the big standouts in that class, you had Mikhail Carter. He went to Jackson, Atlanta, then UGA. You had Jarrett Cole from Norcross, then Georgia Tech. Let's see. KJ Hancock, he was a very interesting story. North Gwinnett and then Kennesaw State. He was a late addition to our game. He only had 6 catches his junior year for North Gwinnett. He was a basketball player, but he really came on strong late in the season. I think that was, who was the head coach at the time? It's on the tip of my tongue. But North Gwinnett's head coach really advocated for him to get an opportunity to play in the game. And he had more yards in that game than he had the entire season for North Gwinnett. And ended up getting an offer, and then he went on to play at Kennesaw State. So when you look at 61 the first year, 61 the second year, without KJ Hancock having that big performance, it would not have been the same. He really did himself a lot of favor. You also had Deontay Smith from Grovetown. He went to East Carolina and then played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Kendall Vildor, North Clayton, Georgia Southern, and then the Chicago Bears. So 61 total in that class as well. So then when you get to the class of 2017, we start to see that number grow significantly and almost double, because obviously the first year, the class of 2015 only participated in 1. Well, the next class, they had a sophomore game, then the junior. So the class of 2017 actually played in 3 total Georgia Elite Classics. That's why the number went up to 125 in that class. You had Jack Coco from Johns Creek, Georgia Tech, then played for the Green Bay Packers. DJ Dallas, Glenn Academy, University of Miami, and then the Seattle Seahawks. Let's see, you got J.R. Ingram, Valdosta, West Georgia, and just all sorts of colleges represented. Xavier Jenkins, Lowndes High School, Savannah State, Xavier McKinney, Roswell, then Alabama, then the New York Giants, Eric Ogle, Whitewater, Mercer, and it's all documented. You got Mark Robinson, Lee County, Presbyterian, and then Pittsburgh. So this list is coming. So let's look at a couple more classes, and just to once again just show how important it is to play in this game, and also just have a big performance in it. We talked about the 7th graders, 8th graders, especially the freshmen this year that were able to beat the sophomores. It's a big part of this ongoing storyline and list of fantastic players that have played through this game. All right, the class of 2018, a name that everyone will recognize, Jake Camarda from Norcross, a fantastic kicker, went to UGA, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is the class of 2018, and if you do the math, they graduated high school 2018, college likely around 2022. Now these are guys that are getting their shot in the NFL. You had Kingsley Inagbare from Hapeville Charter, University of South Carolina, Green Bay Packers, John Fitzpatrick, Marist, UGA, and then he was picked up by the Atlanta Falcons. Rico Fry, Cartersville, Bowling Green, a fantastic player there. Let's look for a couple more on this list. Zacoby McClain, Valdosta, Auburn. Oh yeah, Aziz Jalari from Marietta, played at UGA, and then the New York Giants. And so in that class of 2018 that played in the Georgia Elite Classic, that's 216 2018 graduates that played in the Classic and then went on to play in college. Huge numbers. I mean, if you even look at like the 247 top 200 or top 250, I mean, each year there might be about 800 or 1,000 at the most Georgia prospects that end up getting scholarships to play at the next level. We're having over 200 that played in our game over the years. That is impressive and incredible. So then the 2019 class, let's see what that total was. Okay, I'm a little too high up. All right, so there were 216 more out of the class of 2019. Some big names in that one. Let's see. Oh yeah, Dominic Blaylock went to Walton, UGA, and now currently is a big playmaker for Georgia Tech. You had J.D. Bertrand, Blessed Trinity, Notre Dame. Let's see. Logan Cash, Winterboro, then Clemson, Jamal Camp, South Forsyth, Georgia Tech, Preston Daniels, Washington County, Kennesaw State. We talked about how many Washington County kids made the trip up this year to play in the event. That's a huge part, and shout out for Washington County for advocating for their kids and getting them in that game. You had John Dukes, North Oconee, went to Marshall. Ryan Fitzgerald, an incredible kicker, Colquitt County, Florida State. He's one of the best kickers I've ever seen in high school. And he famously, the year Colquitt made it to the finals and fell to North Gwinnett, he kicked a 61-yard free kick right before the half to win a very tight game against Auburn. You had Zach Gibson, Johns Creek, Akron. Let's see, a couple more on this class. Jalar Hawley, Buford, University of Miami. Jordan Huff, Morgan County, Georgia Tech. Jalen Humphreys, Mountain View, Florida. He's a total baller. Caleb Jones, North Oconee, University of Georgia. Austin Kirksey, Walton, Nevada. And Derek McClendon, Tucker, Florida State. Luke Mosley, Calhoun, Georgia Tech. So there's another list. That is 2019, 216 names. Out of the 2020 class, that's another 219 players. Javon Baker, McEachern, Alabama. Talik Allen, Peach County, Western Kentucky. You can see all these names. It's all in alphabetical order, and it will be coming out before this signing day with the updated class of 2023, and then in a month we'll have the 2024 officially in there, and I think the number is going to be about 1,800 total, which is incredible. 11 years, 1,800. It's about 130 per year, and that is just going to continue. All right, so the class of 2020-21, that was 146 total guys that we tracked. Carlos Del Rio, McEachern, Florida. Zach Dyer, Brookwood, North Georgia. Caleb Edwards, Decula, Georgia Tech. Justin Franklin, Douglas County. Gardner Webb. Jamal Haynes, Grayson, Georgia Tech. And then in the class of 2022, this is where we stopped. You had 172, a couple big names in that one. You had Bryce Archie, McEachern, Coastal Carolina. He's doing his thing right now. Banks Atkins, Blessed Trinity alum. You had Champ Baker from Parkview. He went on to Carson Newman. Keith Adams, Cherokee, Clemson. Kevin Alfaro, Callaway, Gordon State. Marcus Allen, Walton, UNC. Isaiah Bond, Buford, Alabama. AJ Brown, Walton, UAB. Couple more on here. Jalen Farmer, Eastside, Florida State. Jamie Felix, Camden County, Georgia Tech. Cade Funderburk, his younger brother is an up-and-comer, but he's North Gwinnett and Samford. Jaden Harris, Riverwood, Miami. Kaysen Henry, Walton, South Carolina. Saw his dad, I think, come to a couple of those games, met him. Let's get one or two more. Rawson McNeil, Walton, Rice University. Daniel Martin, Marietta, Vanderbilt. And Vito Perry, Alpharetta, Alabama. So just wanted to spend a little time on that because I don't think people realize how many kids have played in this game, how big it actually is. You see it, it's one day, 5 games in a row, but if you think about the number of programs represented and then that accumulation over the years where you have maybe one class participating in the Georgia Elite 3 years. We have some guys that play in it multiple years. Obviously, we don't count them twice. But just to look at the scope of it, it's amazing. I'm really pleased that the event was created. And I think when we started it, when IJ started it and set out the goal, he wanted to have that special first class. It's not easy. There's a lot of all-star games, but you have to have that strong foundation. He wanted high character guys. That's why there's always been a process where they're being nominated by either their coach, sometimes with the showcases. Rusty Menzel came in as a director of player personnel, but clearly every single year has had that success. It's grown tremendously, and that list, I think it's going to blow people away when you see it in the weeks ahead. So stay tuned for that. I'll post it as a daily dive, also a separate story. We'll probably have some graphics, and then it'll be interesting to go in and I guess have to change some of them that have transferred and put that note. But let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break. I'm going to check up with Coach Bennett and see if he's ready to come on.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me, can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
All right, I think he's ready.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So I've been in contact with Coach Bennett. I think he has about 5 or 10 minutes. We'll try to get him on. And I've been very persistent. Hey, Coach, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, I'm sorry about that with the team schedule. So.
Yeah, no problem at all. So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, it broke up a little bit, but we're good now. Just wanted to ask about taking the Pickens job. Just what attracted you to it? When did you kind of make that decision? And had you previously had Pickens in the back of your mind?
Yeah, it honestly happened pretty quickly. They called me roughly over Thanksgiving and just kind of discussed some options and just to gauge interest. And just to go back on your question, Pickens was always a place that I looked at far going, man, that's a place. It's got a great community. It's one school in the whole county. They've had success. So it was always a job that was very appealing to me. And the timing was right for me and my family to make this move. So we're just excited to be here.
Absolutely. And yeah, Cambridge, you did such a good job there. What always impressed me was from the start, across the board, athletically, Cambridge just took off, did everything right from the AD level, great participation numbers. And so what's the foundation or what's the challenges for you at Pickens to get them to the ultimate goal?
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say Cambridge was such a great place to me and my family and great people and loved those kids. So there's a group, just nothing about Cambridge in terms of why I chose to do this. But Pickens is, they've had success, and it's just, I think it's a very minute change that has to take place to get their mentality changed a little bit, to be able to compete and to take that, that next step in 3A football.
Yep, and I mean, the ingredients to success in football are the same no matter where you are, but what is the difference going from Fulton County to now being at a school where you are the only school in the county? Does it put more responsibility on you as a head coach, less, or how is it different?
It does. More responsibility, but it's the responsibility as a head coach that you want. For instance, you're going to control football from kindergarten up through 12th grade. And so you can get that alignment that we as coaches have always wanted. And, you're making a lot of decisions through the team to be able to come in and vertically align them all together and have that opportunity to do that. So.
Yep, and then I know you're short on time, but in terms of assistant coaches, were you able to take some guys with you, some holdovers from the previous seasons? What's that looking like for you?
No, right this minute. I just started on Monday and still meeting with the current staff and making some of those decisions in the near future. Have discussed some things with people that I know, both at Cambridge and some other schools. Just obviously trying to hire the best football guys and the best people that we can find to bring up here and be a part of this.
And then real quick, just what is the off-season kind of schedule and approach going to be? When are you guys going to start with maybe early morning workouts, strength and training? How do you get this team prepared for 2024?
Well, it's a little different. We got every football player in weight training class, and we're on a block schedule, so we get them for 90 minutes. So there's a lot of work that's already been put in, and it's just tweaking those to what we want. So we started on Friday of last week, and they're all in weight training. So we'll do some 4-on-1s and some install stuff in the near future, but a little different. We don't have to do morning workouts anymore. So
yeah, and so you find yourself at a new program. Obviously, you started Cambridge from its beginning, but I mean, how significant is the region realignment, do you think, going to be this year in terms of the overall landscape and just playing a new kind of group of teams that maybe you aren't familiar with?
Yeah, no doubt. And there's some really, really good football in this region. You know, whether it's tremendous. And I'm probably forgetting some other the schools because they're really, really good and they're well coached. And so just honestly right now, just evaluating and trying to learn, you know, what those teams got on their hub this week. So trying to watch some film and, you know, see what teams do and who they got returning. And it's all new, but that's exciting as well.
Yeah, did I see that GAC is going to be in your region again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you guys are obviously in the same region at Cambridge. You'll be battling them as the Dragons. Last question, I mean, what was the move like for you, just going from Fulton County up to Pickens? How's the family liking it up there?
Well, we haven't moved officially yet. I'm still driving from where I was when I was at Cambridge, so we're in the process of that. But they're excited. You know, I grew up in First County, and this community is so welcoming, and it reminds me of how I grew up. And so they've been so nice to us, and just excited to you know, have a change and some refreshing things that are going to happen. And so just man, it's been awesome. So can't say nothing bad about Fulton. It's just been refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you took the job, I think your day one was January 4th, but I mean, were you busy over the holidays getting ready? When did it become finalized just from your end?
Yeah, it was, well, you know, I'm one of those guys, I had to wait on that official approval on January 4th before I really, you know, dug in and got to work, because I wanted to make sure that was official. But yeah, just some preliminary work here and there, just with the opportunity that had kind of presented itself. But yeah, we're hitting the ground running.
All right, well, Coach Bennett, I know you got to go, so happy Friday, congratulations, and we look forward to talking to you during the 2024 season about your team and you guys.
Awesome, would love it, and man, I appreciate what you guys do, and go Dragons.
Go Dragons. All right. So there you have it. I really appreciate that. I know he's super busy. Literally like, hey, I only got 10 minutes. Let's go now. So I appreciate that. And it sounds like one of the things that's always a key with these coaching changes is filling the assistant roles. A lot of news articles focus on the head coach, but there's a ton of change every offseason. And it takes a lot of moving pieces. For example, if this guy that you're trying to bring in he's not a community coach, which means he doesn't teach within the district. It's like you have to find an opening at the school that corresponds with the subject he teaches. So if he's a PE teacher and you don't have a PE opening, I don't know what you're going to do if you're bringing in a history teacher or math teacher. So it's very difficult to formulate your assistants. And so obviously Cambridge still hasn't filled their jobs. In terms of the head coach, will they promote someone within? So it's definitely a storyline. This was a fresh hire. We mentioned he's only been there 8 days now. So just over a week and just getting started, but we will definitely be checking back in with him in the spring once things settle down. But I just wanted to talk to him about it, and seems like it was very appealing for him to go to a smaller school, but one that is kind of the big fish in the county pond. Fulton County is obviously huge. There's so many teams in Fulton County. It's so spread out. You got the Miltons, Alpharettas, you got Creekside. Obviously, Cambridge is in there. And so that takes a lot. The decision-making that comes down from the county, we saw how huge that was during COVID when each county was making decisions that impacted their specific member teams. Being at Pickens, they didn't have to deal with that at all. They got to make their own decision. Obviously still working with the county and administrators, but it's a lot more community oriented. So I think he's going to do very well. And you can't say enough about what Cambridge accomplished across the board athletically. You're a brand new school in Fulton County, one of the most competitive, big classifications and regions in the state, and they're able to go in, find the success right away, and then sustain it and really be a consistent program. So I know there's a lot of guys that are going to be returning for Cambridge next year. I think they're going to be just as good they have been, if not even better. But it's bringing stability to the Pickens program that has had quite a few changes. And my initial response when you look at what has been holding Pickens back, I think they've had great offenses these last couple seasons. They've lacked the defensive production. They've given up a lot of points. So I think he's going to come in there, really teach that discipline, form tackling, and finding a way to eliminate the big plays. I think if they can do that, you're going to see Pickens back in it, competing for region titles in Class 3A. So that should be very intriguing. And then I'm going to have to look into this too. I mentioned that GAC is in the region, but we know that it's going to be divided into the Class A through 3A private. So I think they might end up being in separate playoffs, even though they're going to be region opponents. Once again, I'm going to have to look that up. But let's go ahead and take one quick break. Thanks again for Coach Bennett for coming on, and we're going to conclude with some basketball updates.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
All right, welcome back. So let's talk a little basketball. Huge weekend coming up. Lots of games tonight, Saturday, and then Monday. And some of these events start Saturday and then conclude Monday. And one of those is the MLK Classic, and that's going to be at Whitfield Academy. Looks like they have 13 total games. There's going to be 6 on Saturday, all day long, starting at 11 a.m. A lot of out-of-state teams will be in this. Here's a couple of the matchups on Saturday, and then I'll point out the one that I'm most interested in on Monday. So on Saturday, these are girls matchups. You got Campbell against Butler, 11 a.m. Host Whitfield Academy is taking on North Cobb Christian, 12:30. Millington Central and Jasper from Alabama, 2 o'clock. You got Butler and Westside out of South Carolina at 3:30. You got Hughes against Webb School out of Tennessee, 5 p.m. And then Grayson against IMG Academy. For anyone that's been paying attention this year, Grayson, #1 on the boys' side, and the girls are also balling out. They're looking to potentially sweep this year. All right, then on Monday, Green Forest is going to play Campbell, a 9:30 start on Monday, MLK Day. You got Newton against Millington Central, IMG Academy against St. Francis, Wesleyan against Montverde out of Florida, And then before the Woodland Parkview game and Southwest Atlanta Christian Mount Pisgah at 3:30, you have Hebron Christian against Stockbridge. This is the biggest game, I think, for Monday that is going to really tell us how good is Stockbridge this season. Can they actually contend for a 4A state title this year? And then for Hebron, we know how good they are, but it's about whether or not Stockbridge is going to be able to go in and compete with a team that has been in the title hunt year in and year out. Stockbridge was nowhere nearly as successful last season as they are right now. They have not lost a single game within Class 4A. So let's go over their resumes a little bit. Stockbridge will represent Class 4A in the 5th of 7 total games, 3:30 start against Powerhouse Hebron. Stockbridge has already opened up a 7-0 record in Region 5 play and is 12-4 on the season with an active 7-game winning streak. Stockbridge remains unbeaten within 4A and will play Pace Academy. I think that one's tonight, and then Union Grove on Saturday before the Monday game. So they got 2 big games coming up to cap just a really busy weekend for them. So this is the weekend. It's like, let's see how good they actually are. They're region front runners. They've gone from a team that was getting beat by 10 points in the region last year to winning games by 20 to 30 points. They're absolutely dominant. But Hebron Christian, really well coached, great guard play, can really press the floor and create a ton of turnovers. So, all right, Stockbridge previously defeated Pace Academy. It's one of their biggest region rivals, 71-49. So they'll be playing them once again. And then Hebron Christian, their resume, they're 13-2 this year. Its only losses came to out-of-state opponents, so they're yet to lose to a Georgia team. And then their active 4-game win streak was extended with their most recent victory, a 67-29 victory over Oconee County on Tuesday. They have one more game before the big Monday showdown, and that's going to be tonight against Hart County in region play. So definitely check our scoreboard on Monday. Check the Twitter. We'll be retweeting this final score, but I'm really interested in it. I'm going to have my blog on Monday as well, updating 4A, so I'll talk about this matchup and what the result is, because this is a real test for Stockbridge. I'm ready to see just how good they are. So let's compare just last season to this year and just see how night and day it is. All right, so last year they finished 21-9. They beat Pace Academy 49-46, a 3-point victory last year. This year, 71-49. So they've separated themselves from the region, and that's why they're 7-0 at this point. Last year they played Luella very tough, 66-62. Luella is actually struggling a lot this year, though. So they've taken a step down. They played Baldwin competitively, 50-43. That's a big pending matchup. And then they ended up falling to Chesadee in the state playoffs after losing to Luella in region play. So this year, and this is out of Region 5, Luella was the region champ. This year they beat Luella 75-55, so they've avenged that loss from last year. They recently beat Lovett 75-16. That was earlier this week, so they're just absolutely dominating. But the Hebron game, that's going to be the big tell on whether or not this is just the teams in a region that might have taken a step back. They took a step forward, or is Stockbridge a real state championship contender? All right. The other team that I'm looking at on the girls' side is Hardaway. I think when you look at 4A, you got Baldwin, an obvious state title contender. Holy Innocents is always in the mix, but Hardaway has really been strong. They are 2-0 in Region 1 at this point. You have two teams slightly behind them. That's Baldwin and Westover. And then Westover just beat Bainbridge 50-28. And then Westover's loss came to Hardaway. And so, yeah, Hardaway 2-0. Westover 1-1. Bainbridge 1-1. You had Westover dominate Bainbridge 50-28, but then Hardaway, they beat Westover 86-28. So in terms of the region front runners, they're blowing out the second place team by 50. So now they're going to play Bainbridge. If it's the same result, I think you got to put Hardaway. I think we have them at number 4, number 3. But man, they've got to be top 1 or 2 at this point, the way they've been dominate. Then on the boys' side, a team that definitely needs to be considered this upcoming weekend. You got Holy Innocents. They've been very interesting. They lost an out-of-state game, but then scored the big win over Alexander. And I think they are built to take on the rest of this 4A competition. And then the dark horse for me in 4A is Fayette County. I saw them play last year in the semifinals at Fort Valley State against Benedictine. They came out, they played above the rim, moved the ball extremely well. It was clear that they were young and were going to be returning a lot of their key scorers. Keith Gillespie especially, he was only a sophomore, was one of the best shooters I've seen. And it looks like they have really ignited and caught absolute fire. They've got a really competitive region. Stars Mill is a team that has, I think, surprised me a little bit with how they've had a lot of success in the region so far. I'm going to have to do a deep dive into them before the Monday blog, because they did beat Fayette County 70-59. That's forced a 3-way tie for number 1 in this region that was just as competitive in football as it has been in basketball this season. But then the latest win by Fayette County over LaGrange, who was 12-1 and a potential region front runner, they beat them 76-36. That was on Wednesday. So I think Fayette County has heated up, and then tomorrow afternoon, they're going to play Chapel Hill. That is a 4A region matchup at 2:30. Fayette County, Chapel Hill, definitely the top boys game to watch. And then they're going to have a busy week. Got North Clayton on the 16th. Then they've got a road trip to Stars Mill on the 19th. They'll be able to avenge that one. That's the same day as the Pace Academy McDonough game. Huge night for 4A basketball. And then after playing Stars Mill on the road, they're going to go to Sandy Creek, the defending 3A state champs. What a lineup and what a window into Fayette County after the big LaGrange win within the next week, starting tomorrow. Chapel Hill, North Clayton, at Stars Mill, at Sandy Creek, and then they'll be playing Whitewater on the 23rd. So that's how much the schedule's heating up. I'm going to be focusing on those storylines with next Monday's blog, and then all week updating it. And then depending on that, we'll start to get a better picture of who has been the region front runners, what regions are looking to be more exciting once the region tournament comes up, and then what potential playoff matchups could we see. Obviously, Pace Academy has the big games coming up in a week. I think I'm waiting for that McDonough one. Until that one happens, I'm not going to know who the favorites are in 4A. I really want to see what happens in that victory right there. And then Starsmill, that's a team that I've got to look into because they've been up and down. But, I mean, the win over Fayette County, that's not an accident. That is a huge victory for them to get. And so tonight, Starsmill is going to play LaGrange, and we will see how LaGrange bounces back from the Fayette County loss. And then I think depending on that, we saw Fayette County beat LaGrange by 60. Let's see what Starsmill does up against the Grangers. Let's see. Anything else before we sign off? Yeah, let's just go over the latest rankings real quick. So 7A, thought Najee did a great job yesterday covering boys basketball. He had Rory Welch on, Hughes head coach, great interview. He talked about 7A a bunch. Grayson's been balling out. And then McEachern, they had a big win over Alexander. This was last week, and then Alexander just beat Hughes. So Alexander, they've proven they're a state top contender in 6A. But then I think what McEachern proved in that game is, like, Ace Bailey, that's the storyline in 7A. He dominated that matchup. They couldn't stop him. 19 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. And then Najee was telling me another game he had 40 and 20.
Yes, they played what was that? I think near Rutgers Gym. I think he was going. Did he go against? No, that's Silly Ponce going against Harper, but he was playing in New Jersey.
Yeah, playing in New Jersey. He had over 40 points and 21 rebounds. I mean, that's insane. So I think he clearly, this season, he's been that guy. I mean, he has been the best player on the court every single game. However, I think that's the reason they beat Alexander. I think other teams that don't have just a guy that's unguardable and a total superstar on the court, I think Alexander, that win against Hughes, proved that they are focused, they are ready to go, and they are eyeing that state title. I'm interested to see how Walton is able to cope with a really tough loss to Luke Flynn. They didn't exit Sandy's poll this last week, but without Luke Flynn, they lost that one 64-50 to Lassiter. So this is a top 10 team. Without him, he's obviously their top scorer, but I mean, that's a big loss. I think, like, the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes and a backup at quarterback, that's less of a loss than Walton without Luke Flynn. No disrespect to those other guys, but he is the guy that the defense has to pay attention to. He's one of the better shooters and scorers in the state, and they are really struggling without him. So can Walton find ways to salvage this part of the season? They're playing in a brutal region, obviously with Wheeler, Cherokee, all these other teams. So I think Walton might slip out of the playoffs. And then Carrollton, they've been on the rise. They've really been impressive. Big wins over East Coweta and then New Manchester. And the last week, New Manchester has been another strong performer this season. So we will have tons of basketball coverage coming up next week. Huge weekend, 192 boys games tonight, nearly 200 girls games, and then a fun day on Monday. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate Coach Bennett, and we'll see you next week.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.